You get home after a long day of work feeling tired and decide to play a bit to unwind, and for that nothing beats your favorite game, Red Dead Redemption 2. After all, you're trying to craft a legendary satchel and need to bring perfect pelts to Pearson, so you hop on your horse, head out to the forest and start another hunt. But the problem is that damn perfect deer just won't show up. You spend minutes riding, then a few more, and then some more. When herds of the animal finally appear, none of them have the quality you need, and as time goes by you start getting more and more impatient. But just when your hopes were pretty much gone, there it is. The perfect animal, 3-star quality. In that moment your adrenaline spikes, you quickly draw your rifle, hold your breath, and take what seems to be a perfect shot at the animal. And for a few seconds, you get that insane feeling of satisfaction. You finally got what you needed to craft the best satchel in the game. But then you approach the carcass and the excitement turns into pure frustration, because that perfect 3-star animal now became a 2-star or even a 1-star carcass. I'm absolutely sure you've been in this situation, because it happens to literally everyone, from beginners to veterans with hundreds of hours in Red Dead 2. And it happens because the hunting system in this game is super complex. In fact, it's so detailed it's on the level of games focused solely on hunting, like The Hunter and Way of the Hunter. But unlike those games, Red Dead 2 almost never really explains how these mechanics work, and that's exactly where the frustration comes from, because a lot of people play for hundreds of hours without understanding how animals spawn, which weapon to use, how wind affects hunting, how to preserve the quality of the pelt, how to properly track an animal, or even how the game defines a perfect kill. And that's exactly why I decided to make this video, a definitive hunting guide for Red Dead 2, where I'm going to teach you absolutely everything about the game's hunting system, from the basic workings of the wildlife and animal AI to advanced mechanics most players simply never notice. Tips that will help you tremendously with those super tedious 100% tasks, like crafting Pearson's legendary East Satchel, completing the 10 Master Hunter challenges, and surviving the brutal hunting mission, which is probably one of the most painful and exhausting missions in all of Red Dead 2. So get ready, because after this video, hunting will never be a problem for you again. To kick off our guide, I need to start by covering the basic fundamentals of how hunting works in the game. Starting with the animals, the game features an incredibly diverse wildlife with over 200 species that can be studied, tracked, and hunted in the wild. Visually, many animals look exactly the same, so at first glance pretty much all of them seem identical, but everything changes when you grab your binoculars or rifle scope and study the animal. After analyzing the species, the game reveals the condition of its hide. It's rated up to 3 stars. 1 star means a poor pelt, 2 stars means a good one, and 3 stars means a perfect pelt. Once you've studied a species at least once, the game will always show the star rating the moment you aim at that animal again. So over time, you start quickly identifying which animals are worth hunting or not. And after you finally take the shot and kill the animal, you can get close to skin its pelt. That way, the record for that species in the compendium will be complete. And here's one of the most insane mechanics in all of Red Dead 2. When you open the animals page in the compendium, the game gives you a crazy amount of useful info about it, like its eating habits, behavior, habitat, the most likely spots to find it, and even the best weapon to get a perfect kill. This info is pure gold and can be checked anytime during gameplay, so if you're ever unsure about which weapon to use on a certain animal, just open the compendium and find out in seconds. But don't worry, I'll also talk about the weapons later on in this video. But first, we need to cover a mechanic that was introduced in Red Dead 2 and completely changes how hunting works. With Eagle Eye activated, the game highlights relevant objects in the world near Arthur that we can interact with. Among these are exactly the animal trails. You might not see any animals around, but when you activate Eagle Eye, the game will show you the tracks of animals that recently passed through that area, and if you've already studied that animal, the game will tell you exactly which species left those tracks. If you haven't studied it yet, it will just mark the animal as unknown. By pressing the interaction button, you can focus on the animal's trail. This makes the game highlight the trail, keeping it visible for a few seconds, even after Eagle Eye is turned off, and if we patiently follow the trail, eventually we'll find the animal at the end of it. The most impressive part is that it doesn't matter how far away the animal is. So if you find the animal, it starts running and you lose sight of it, you never have to worry about it just disappearing out of nowhere as long as you keep tracking it properly. But there's an even crazier detail in this mechanic. With Eagle Eye activated, you can also see some scent lines coming off Arthur's body, and that's the game showing you exactly which way the wind is blowing, carrying Arthur's scent in that direction. If your scent is heading towards the animal you're stalking, it will eventually notice you, so remember those times when you were aiming your rifle at a completely distracted animal and suddenly it sensed something and took off? Well, that probably happened because it caught your scent. To avoid this, you always need to pay attention to the wind direction before getting close to the animal. Ideally, the wind should be blowing away away from your prey, preventing Arthur's scent from reaching it. So if you notice the scent lines going towards the animal, the best move is to circle around and try approaching from another angle. This is one of those crazy Red Dead 2 details that a lot of people completely ignore, but that drastically changes how effective your hunting is. Luckily, there's a specific item in the game that can drastically reduce the chance of animals smelling Arthur, and later in this video I'll show you exactly what that item is and how it works. But first, we need to learn something really important: perfect kill. A perfect kill is when the player takes down the animal without damaging the quality of its hide. That means the shot can't be made with a weapon that's too powerful or in the wrong spot. Early in the game, the easiest way to get a perfect kill is by hitting a fatal spot like the animal's skull or heart. These spots get highlighted by Deadeye after you've studied, killed, and skinned that animal at least once. Check out this example. In this footage, I hadn't killed an alligator on my save yet, so when I activated Deadeye, the game didn't highlight any fatal points. But after killing and skinning the first one, the game starts showing those spots when we activate the mode, since after the first kill, Arthur theoretically learned that species' weak points. However, you can only mark the exact shot spot in Deadeye after the mission Pouring Forth Part 4. So until then, the safest way to kill an animal without risking damaging the hide is to go for a headshot. You can use either Deadeye or regular aiming to make the shot, and this won't affect the skin quality. But there's a golden tip that a lot of people don't know about, and it really helps when lining up a perfect shot. When you cautiously approach the animal and aim your weapon at it, you can press the interaction button for Arthur to whistle. At that moment, the animal will freeze for a few seconds, look straight at the player, and fully stretch its neck. And that's exactly when the perfect window opens up for a clean kill. Most of the time, the animal dies instantly with a single shot, but in some cases it starts to stagger away while you need to chase it down to finish the kill. This usually happens when you hit a critical damage spot or simply struck the wrong area. To find out which one it was, just get close to the carcass and check if the pelt quality was preserved or not. But here's something not everyone knows: there's an amulet in the game with a super powerful passive effect that can really help you get perfect pelts. The Deer Antler Amulet. You can craft it at any fence after Arthur kills the legendary deer near the town of Strawberry. With it equipped, the game boosts the chance of animals spawning with 3-star quality, but the main passive effect of the amulet isn't even that. The real game changer is that it gives you a second chance if you mess up during the hunt. Imagine you used the wrong weapon or just hit the wrong spot and ruined the pelt's quality. In those cases, there's a pretty good chance the animal will regain its 3-star rating the moment Arthur skins it. Believe me, this amulet is pretty much a must-have for any player who wants to dive deep into hunting in Red Dead 2. And the best part is you can hunt the legendary deer pretty early in the game, right after finishing Hosea's mission Exit Pursued by a Bruised Ego. But if you still don't have the right weapon, the amulet, or simply neither of them, there's a simple but super effective technique that veteran players often use, using the lasso to knock the animal out. In these cases, you can lasso the animal while riding your horse, get off, and slowly walk up to it. That way, Arthur finishes the animal with a knife to the neck, preserving the original quality of the pelt and ensuring a perfect kill. And here's a very important note: this pelt quality mechanic doesn't apply to legendary animals. All legendary animals have a unique quality status, so unlike regular animals, you don't need to worry about using the right weapon or hitting a fatal spot. You can literally use a shotgun and blast the animal point blank and it will still keep the pelt quality. And it doesn't stop there. If something happens while you're transporting the animal to the trapper and you end up losing the animal's pelt, don't panic. The game automatically transfers that pelt to the local trappers. This prevents you from permanently losing unique items tied to the animal, like special outfits, amulets, and other gear crafted at the fence. In this case, the only thing you really lose is the money from selling the animal, which honestly isn't that big of a deal. Now it's time to talk about one of the most important parts of all hunting in Red Dead 2, our tools of the trade. Not all animals require a shot in the exact spot to keep the 3-star rating. There are 5 size categories in total: small, modest, medium, large, and huge. Within this system, small animals are much more forgiving when it comes to shot placement. Animals like birds, reptiles, and some mammals like squirrels, bats, and rats usually keep perfect quality even without a precise shot to a vital organ, as long as Arthur uses the right weapon and can kill the prey in a single shot. This happens because many of these animals are too small for the game to highlight vital organs in the traditional Deadeye way. So instead of demanding surgical precision from the player, Rockstar mainly focuses on using the correct caliber to make the perfect kill. And in this case, the most important weapons are the varmint rifle equipped with 22 caliber ammo, which can be bought at any gunsmith in the game. Besides that, there's also the small arrow for the bow, whose recipe can be bought from any fence and crafted manually in the crafting menu. For animals in the moderate group like rabbits, skunks, or raccoons, the varmint rifle is still the ideal weapon for a perfect kill. For animals in the medium group like coyotes, foxes, pigs, or beavers, the best weapons are the bow with regular arrows and repeating rifles like the repeating carbine, Lancaster, or Litchfield. When it comes to large animals like boars, alligators, or deer, the ideal weapons are the bow with regular or poison arrows as well as practically any common rifle. Finally, we have the group of huge animals made up of animals like bears, bison, moose, and others. In this case, you'll need much greater firepower using weapons like the bow with poison or improved arrows, common rifles, or precision rifles such as the rolling block rifle and the Carcass. Right now, all this info might seem like a lot to remember, especially since some animals that look similar actually require completely different weapons, and that's exactly why I decided to put together this chart for you. It's a detailed guide showing exactly which weapon to use for each specific animal species in the game. With this chart in hand, you'll pretty much never have to wonder which weapon to pick again. And the coolest part is that I took this chart straight from the official Red Dead 2 guide. For those who don't know, it's an extremely detailed guide produced by Piggyback in official partnership with Rockstar Games. It includes maps, hidden mechanics, strategies, animal locations, weapons, items, and pretty much everything about the game. In fact, all the info in this script comes from that guide, like the ideal weapons for each animal, the right spots for a clean kill, and a bunch of extra details that won't even make it into this video, like the best places to find each animal species in the game. And since it's official material licensed by Rockstar themselves, almost all the info in it is super reliable. Now that we've covered the basic hunting fundamentals, it's time to move on to the most valuable part of this video, the one everyone's been waiting for. We're talking about the advanced tips, the ones usually only veteran players know and that really help make hunting easier. And one of the most important tips involves bait. As the name suggests, bait is used to attract animals from the local wildlife more easily, with Arthur tossing a piece of meat on the ground to catch the prey's attention. But for this to work, you need to place the bait a good distance away from Arthur's position, making sure the animal hasn't noticed you before it gets closer. Now here's a crucial detail that few people know. Bait in the game doesn't make animals spawn out of nowhere. Actually, it only attracts animals that already exist within a certain radius on the map, making them come closer to the bait's location. So if you place bait, wait a few minutes, and no animals show up, the problem probably isn't the bait. The problem is that there simply aren't any animals in that area at that time. In that case, the best move is to change location and try again. Another important limitation is that we can't exactly choose which animal will spawn. The only thing we can set is the type of wildlife we want to attract. There are two main groups of bait in the game, herbivore and predator baits. The common versions can be bought at pretty much any store in the game. But besides those, there are also the powerful versions, and as the name suggests, they are way better than the common baits, also increasing the chance of spawning 3-star quality animals. If you're hunting for a perfect panther, for example, using a powerful predator bait really boosts your chances. And unlike the common ones, the powerful versions can't be bought ready-made. They have to be crafted manually by Arthur. Luckily, the recipes unlock early in Chapter 2, so there's a good chance you'll already have them in your inventory. And if you're still having trouble getting a specific animal to show up, there are a few things that can really boost the spawn chance. The first one is making sure you're actually looking in the right spot. And again, the official Red Dead 2 guide helps a lot here because it shows exactly which regions each species can appear in. But even if you're in the right place, sometimes the animal just won't spawn. And in those cases, there are some tricks that help a lot. The first one is setting up a camp in the area and sleeping for a few hours. This makes the game time advance and also moves Arthur a few meters away from the spot. It also increases the chance of the wildlife resetting when you come back. You can repeat this over and over until the game won't let Arthur sleep anymore. And if the animal still doesn't show up, there's another method the community uses a lot. Save your game manually and then reload that save. This kind of resets part of the animal population in the area and greatly increases the chance the animal will finally spawn. I've personally used this method countless times and it pretty much always works. But heads up, if you're hunting a 3-star animal but the game is only spawning 2-star versions in that region, loading the save usually won't fix the problem because often the animal keeps showing up with the same quality. I learned that lesson the hard way while hunting the panther to craft the best saddle in the game, so there's a tip for you. Another super important item for hunting is the scent lotion. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, you always need to make sure the wind isn't carrying Arthur's scent toward the animal because that alerts the prey and basically ruins any chance of a stealth attack. And that's exactly where the scent lotion comes in. It's an essential item in Arthur's satchel because it drastically reduces the chance of animals picking up your scent even when the wind is blowing the wrong way. So when you get to the hunting spot, open your inventory and use the item before you start your approach. The effect lasts for a set amount of time that Rockstar never officially revealed build, but the community believes it's around 20 minutes. Luckily, the game usually lets you know when the effect wears off. Another way to check if it's still active is by activating Eagle Eye. As you can see in this comparison, Arthur's scent is drastically reduced relative to the wind, so it's pretty hard not to notice. You can buy this lotion at various shops in the game, and you can also craft it yourself through the crafting menu. Now that you've mastered hunting an animal like a pro, it's time to deal with another important issue: logistics. Because it's no use getting a perfect hide if you don't know how to transport it properly. First, we need to talk about your horse's carrying capacity. Your horse can carry at least one medium or large animal slung across its back. Plus, you can also carry two small animals hanging on either side of the saddle. And when I say small, I mean animals like rabbits and some larger bird species. Animals smaller than that are stored directly in Arthur's satchel. This means the player can carry at least 3 carcasses on the horse at the same time. But here's a tip that many new players simply don't know. You can basically double that carrying capacity by using a second horse. To do this, just bring a secondary horse with you on the hunt. And to call it, just whistle while you're riding your main horse. That way you can carry 2 large carcasses at once, plus the extra small animals hanging on the sides of the saddle. This speeds up the hunting process a lot and saves you a ton of time, especially because unfortunately Rockstar never added the online hunting wagon to the story mode. But there's one thing that basically has no capacity limit: pelts. You know when you skin a medium animal and store the pelt on your horse? Well, the game lets Arthur carry up to 99 pelts at once. So in practice, we have an almost unlimited capacity for this type of item. Now we get to one of the wildest details of Red Dead 2's entire hunting system. Once you're transporting the animal on your horse's back, you need to make sure to get that carcass to your destination as fast as possible, because yes, Rockstar created a full decomposition mechanic for animals. So if you hunt a deer and leave it strapped to your horse while you spend hours exploring the map, sleeping, or doing other stuff, the chance of that carcass rotting and losing quality goes way up, especially in hotter areas like New Austin. But the crazy part is that the opposite also happens. In cold regions like Ambarino, the decomposition process takes way longer. And here's another interesting detail. Leaving a skinned carcass on the horse speeds up this process even more for pretty obvious reasons. So as a rule of thumb, the best move is to always deliver or use the animal right after you put it on the horse. But luckily there's a way to practically cancel out this mechanic. If you're in the epilogue, you can hunt the legendary pronghorn in Nova Austin. After that, just take the materials to a fence and craft the pronghorn amulet. And this amulet has one of the best passive effects in the entire game because it basically stops carcasses from rotting on the horse's back. So once you get this item, you'll pretty much never have to worry about decomposition again. The only downside is that Arthur normally can't get this amulet during the main campaign. But in a few days, I'll drop a video here on the channel showing exactly how to get into Nova Austin before the epilogue and grab this amulet early. So to not miss that content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Finally, here's one last golden tip, especially for players aiming to get that coveted platinum trophy. In Red Dead 2, there are 2 achievements directly tied to hunting. The first one is the zoologist, which requires studying all 162 animals in the game, and the second is a trophy for skinning all 160 animals possible in the game. These achievements are super time consuming, but there's a really simple way to make this process way easier right from the start of the campaign. The tip is to get in the habit of always aiming at the animals you come across during your gameplay. You might not even be hunting, but seriously, start doing this, and if the game shows the unknown species message, study the animal immediately and if possible kill it right after. In these cases, you don't even need to worry about the quality of the pelts, okay? Our goal here is simply to get a head start on the compendium progress and make sure you already have a good chunk of the species studied and skinned before even reaching the epilogue. I did this on my first playthrough, and seriously, it left my compendium almost complete, just missing a few rarer species like some birds for example. And yeah, I know this might sound like a silly tip right now, but trust me, when you're down to just those last 2 trophies for your platinum, you'll be thanking me big time for telling you to start early. And just to reinforce, if you have trouble finding a specific animal species, check out the official Red Dead 2 guide. Because besides showing the exact location of almost every animal in the game, it also has a complete walkthrough on how to get all the trophies way easier. Now that you've finally learned how to master the hunting system in Red Dead 2, you've probably noticed one thing. Hunting is just a small part of the insane amount of complex mechanics Rockstar packed into this game. And just like with perfect pelts, there are plenty of other things in Red Dead 2 that give headaches to both new players and veterans alike, like figuring out where to find the best weapons in the game, how to make quick money early in the campaign, unlocking important camp upgrades like the fast travel map or which horses are the fastest and bravest in the game, plus of course a bunch of useful, completely spoiler-free tips to avoid mistakes that can seriously mess up your experience. And that's exactly why here on the channel I've got full videos gathering all this content, videos made specifically to help you better understand Red Dead 2's mechanics, level up faster, and enjoy the game in the best way possible. No struggling, no ruining the experience with unnecessary spoilers. And honestly, if you like this video, I highly recommend you keep watching by clicking the video next to the yellow arrow, because the chance that there's some important Red Dead 2 mechanic you still don't know about is insanely high. With these videos, you can consider it the moment to become a true Red Dead 2 expert. That said, we'll meet again in just a few seconds in this video, so a big thanks to everyone and see you later, bye.